Hello Cancer, my name is Keith Haswell and I'm a professional astrologer with 40 years experience in the business now, over 30,000 clients worldwide, and I've got 160 YouTube videos up there now on all aspects of personal and spiritual growth. It's nice to have this opportunity to be able to be of service to you, Cancer, and to tell you what sort of cycles that you're going to experience from the movements of the planets through the houses of your horoscope during July and August 2015. I won't spend a lot of time on myself, that's not the important thing. The important thing is you, Cancer, and helping you to become more of who you really are. So what I'm going to do is to look at the movements of the planets through the houses of your horoscope, and they create events and conditions in your life. They also create stresses and tensions and hurdles for you to jump over, okay? So I'll look at them for you and tell you what's coming up. You are to be congratulated, Cancer, for finding your way to this particular video and for being interested in astrology. Why is it important to be interested in astrology? Because astrology is the most scientific presentation of hidden truth in the world today. Science says that astrology doesn't work, that it's a load of hogwash. So if you can prove to yourself by having your horoscope number 3 done by me with my voice, bringing to bear my 40 years experience, looking at your horoscope and telling you all about yourself, when you've had changes in your job, when you've had changes in your residence, when you got married, when you had children, journeys overseas, deaths in the family, accidents, even where you got scars on your body, and they are correct, that's a massive impact upon your consciousness that astrology is truth. And if you can prove to yourself that astrology is truth, it means that the whole of the reality that science says is just a load of chance out there is all by design. By design, and that means that there's a designer there. And that means that the planets are not just blobs of matter as science says, but they are consciousness units. They are units of consciousness, self-consciousness, who've moved beyond the human level altogether. And so the whole of reality is a spiritual reality. Look, you are primarily a spiritual being. Science has already proven the fact that we are all creating reality all the time, that consciousness is the prime mover. They've proven that. How? They've proven that through quantum physics. The tenets of quantum physics, the science won't allow in. Einstein said he couldn't handle this quantum jumping business that says that everything there to do with reality is blinking on and off, and that it's being created by consciousness. It's not your brain that's creating your consciousness, it's your consciousness that's creating your brain and your physical body. There's just so much there to learn. And this is what I want to help you to understand, is that you are primarily a spiritual being. And you are facing tests in life. You've lived hundreds of lifetimes before to get where you are today. And Cancer, you are going to take a gigantic step forward if you go and have your horoscope number 3 done by me, if you can afford that, and I tell you all about yourself and bring to you an understanding that astrology is truth, and then you apply yourself through my videos and my CDs to expand your consciousness further. I'll mention more about the CDs later on, but first of all, let's look at your movements of your planets, Cancer, through the houses of your horoscope. First of all, what I'm going to do is to look at the movements of Mars and Saturn during the months of July and August 2015 to tell you what sort of stresses and tests that you've set up for yourself and what sort of hurdles that you've set up for yourself. You might say, oh, I don't want to know about that, but you've set up these hurdles yourself. No one's done it to you. And these hurdles are designed, Cancer, for you to be able to jump these hurdles and overcome these stresses. And through that activity, you grow and you reach and you stretch and you develop qualities, principles and values there within yourself, Cancer. in which you wanted to develop. So that's the idea and the object of the exercise. So first of all, I'll look at the stresses and tensions that come through the movements of Mars and Saturn through the houses of your horoscope during July and August 2015. Then I'll look at the joy and the wonder through the movements of the Sun, Venus and Jupiter through the houses of your horoscope during this 2-month period, okay? Now I'm going to put it on a timeline for you. So we start off with Mars on the 1st of July is in the first house of your horoscope, Cancer. With Mars in the first house of your horoscope, it means that you've got a lot of extra stress and tension there to do with personal initiatives and self-initiated efforts. You've got headaches, you've got stresses and tensions there in the physical body, and a lot of personal interests are creating a lot of stress for you. You've got to practice relaxation a lot more during this period until I tell you that Mars makes a change into a different house. With Mars in the first house of your horoscope, you can be overly impulsive, Cancer, and start and commence things without thinking through them very carefully, okay? Now then we tell you that there's a change with Mars. It happens on the 9th of August. Mars moves into the second house of your horoscope and remains there for the balance of the period. Now, with Mars in the second house of your horoscope, you'll be overly impulsive with regard to money. You'll have a lot of stresses and tensions focusing through your finances, but also things to do with your sense of security, Cancer. Your sense of security emotionally and mentally also is impacted there with a lot of stress and so forth to do with this sense of security in your life. So that's the sort of stresses and tensions that you're focusing there upon. Saturn happens to be retrograde to start the period off. So on the 1st of July, Saturn is retrograde. Now when a planet is retrograde, it means that it's impacting negatively, not so much necessarily upon the house that it's sitting in, Cancer, but the house that Saturn rules. And in your case, Saturn rules the 7th and the 8th house of your horoscope. It's different for other signs, but for you, Cancer, it's the 7th and the 8th house that it's impacted negatively, okay? Now, 7th house is the house of marriage and partnership and spouse and matters relating to the legal side of life, court cases and things like that. So anything to do with court cases and things like that can be impacted negatively with Saturn retrograde. And the 8th house of your horoscope is the house of joint finances. So matters relating to joint finances that you share with a partner or a spouse is impacted, and it's a frustrating time for you to do with changes that you're trying to bring about within yourself that you're having a little bit of difficulty overcoming. Now then Saturn goes direct on the 4th of August, Cancer. On the 4th of August, Saturn goes direct, and that's going to start impacting for the balance of August upon the 5th house of your horoscope, which is the house to do with children, romance, love and the social side of life, and matters relating to the entertainment and amusement side of your life, okay? So there'll be frustrations, obstacles and hurdles that you've set up for yourself to overcome and to jump these hurdles, and through that you grow and reach and stretch and develop qualities, principles and values in which you feel that you're lacking, okay? Now we looked on the 1st of July to the location of the Sun. The Sun is in the first house of your horoscope to start the month off with, and it remains there until I tell you that it makes a change. With the Sun in the first house of your horoscope, there's a focus of your personality upon self-initiated efforts. You have a sunny disposition in life, and there's a lot more happiness there for you to do with the social side of life. You feel stronger and able to commence and start things and projects and ideas. Remembering that you've got Mars in there at the same time in that first house though. Now Venus is in the second house of your horoscope and remains there until I tell you that it makes a change. That brings a tendency to want to buy things and to spend on luxuries and things like that. And you're going to be out there among the beauties of nature, the mountains and the trees and the flowers. You'll be wanting to be amongst nature during that time and get a lot of benefit and joy from the benefits and the beauty of nature. Now then, the first change that we have, Cancer, is on the 19th of July. Venus moves into the third house of your horoscope and remains there for 2 or 3 weeks. With Venus in the third house of your horoscope, it's a beautiful time for you socially through relatives and neighbours. There's a lot of happiness to do with motor vehicles. It's a good time for buying and selling things and entering into contracts or agreements, Cancer. And there's a lot of happiness for you generally to do with relatives on a social level, okay? Now then, the next move that we have is on the 24th of July, Cancer, when the Sun moves into the second house of your horoscope and remains there for 30 days. With the Sun in the second house of your horoscope, there's a focus of your personality upon finances and matters relating to your sense of security, and all things to do with your emotional security and your mental security as well, to feel safe emotionally and mentally is a focus of your personality during that particular time. You'll want to be spending money, there's no two ways about that, with the Sun in the second house of your horoscope, okay? Now then, the next move, on the 27th of July, Venus goes retrograde. Now, when Venus goes retrograde, it doesn't impact negatively. It impacts upon the houses that Venus rules. In your case, it's the 4th house and the 11th house of your horoscope. It impacts negatively in this way, that you overdo it there, connected with those particular houses, okay, when Venus is retrograde. So it impacts upon the 4th house, which is the house of the family and the domestic side of life. So you're probably pampering your family a bit too much, spending too much money on the social side of life around the home and with the family and the domestic side of life. And also the 11th house of your horoscope is the house to do with group activities, club activities, joint finances and friends. So you'll be spoiling your friends during that time and overdoing it there with friends, overdoing it on the social side of life in clubs and group activities and things like that, with Venus retrograde impacting there, okay? Now then, the next one that we come to is the 23rd of August, Cancer. The Sun moves into the 3rd house of your horoscope, and that's the last movement that we have. The 23rd of August, the Sun moves into the 3rd house of your horoscope and remains there for the next 30 days. With the Sun in the 3rd house of your horoscope, there's a focus upon relatives, neighbours, contracts, agreements, motor vehicles. Your personality focus there is upon communication with those that are close to you, like relatives and neighbours, and you have a sunny disposition and a happy time socially through those people, okay? Now we look at Jupiter for you, Cancer. Jupiter is a major beneficial influence in our horoscope wherever it sits. And to start the month off with, Jupiter is in the 2nd house of finances. So it's bringing, until it makes a change into another house, it's bringing tremendous benefit for you financially. You have a sense of security enhanced there. Not just physical and financial security, but also emotional security and mental security is enhanced during this time, and you seem to have a happy time during this particular period to do with your financial circumstances in life, okay? And then Jupiter changes into the 3rd house of your horoscope on the 12th of August. Jupiter moves into the 3rd house of your horoscope on the 12th of August, Cancer, and that sees a great deal of happiness there through relatives, neighbours. It's a good time for buying and selling things and entering into contracts or agreements, the balance of this month. And that's a very good time for you generally for taking in knowledge and expansion of your understanding through study, research and investigation. Where do you go from here? Well, where you go from here is to have your horoscope number 3 done by me if you can afford it, and then I'm able to reach out and impress upon you what's going on in your life in this particular lifetime, in all areas of your life, and what hurdles that you've set up for yourself in this lifetime, and what stresses and tensions that you're overcoming, but also the opportunities there through Jupiter and the aspects between the planets and all sorts of things that I can do for you there in your personal reading that I can do. I can bring 40 years of experience to bear upon your life and your direction in life, Cancer. Now get stuck into my CDs. They're available, the first 12 CDs out of my first book, What Really Matters, a book on astrology, meditation and reincarnation. download those 12 CDs and get stuck into them, you can get them from my website. My website address is always there in the description of my videos, so you can go to my website and see what's on offer there. And get stuck into those 12 CDs. They're scientifically designed to expand your understanding. Then if you've paid for horoscope number 3, you go on into spiritual university through my CDs of intensives 2 and 3, and there I expand your understanding about quantum physics and the nature of reality and all meditation, and help you to be able to program the reality that you want for yourself, Cancer. So it's nice to have this opportunity to be able to be of service to you, and subscribe to my videos because I'm pumping out new videos all the time. Watch that video on the meaning of your dreams. That one is a very important video, the best video I've ever produced, and that has had more people have ticked the like box on that one, and it's had more viewings than any other videos that I've ever produced of a personal growth nature. So watch that video, the meaning of your dreams, get stuck into my CDs, get stuck into my videos, and let's work together as a team to help you become all that you can be and more. If you can't afford horoscope number 3, get horoscope number 2 done by me, and you get horoscope number 1 thrown in free of charge there. A beautiful 20-page printout all about you and your personal growth and development there in that horoscope number 2. And horoscope number 1 gives you the cycles over the next 30 months, what sort of events and conditions, all in printed format, a beautiful 10-page printout. So there's so much there. Go to my website, look around, and let's grow together as a team, Cancer. Nice to have this opportunity to be able to be with you, and I look forward to working further with you should you decide to go further. Thank you.